welcome back to Poetic Philosophy number 78. The title for today's show is The Human Collective, and that's what I'll be talking about all throughout this show. I will start this show with a poetry lesson. I'm going to try and do a poetry lesson once a week. That's my goal. We'll see how that goes. Followed by 3 books from my book, Poetry of the Soul, which can be found over at robertgparent.blogspot.com. And I'll be ending this podcast with a song from The Thump if you are listening to the audio version. If you're listening to the video version, to hear the audio version, you can go over to my blog at robertg.blogspot.com and get it there if you want to. So get ready and enjoy the show. Look at what happened to us past couple years. We had the pandemic, and what did we learn from that? I mean, there's a reason why we had the pandemic. If it wasn't going to be a because the pandemic was coming, or something like the pandemic, something to make us stop and think about what we're doing, how we're living. And we created that. We, as a collective humanity, created that because we knew we wanted something, we wanted a more simple life. We wanted to change. And another way to think about this is what happened before the pandemic. It was the minimalist movement. And the minimalist movement is still going strong. And that was, people were finding that less stuff was better. A more simple life was better. A more simple life that we choose, not others choose for us, because we get into situations and things like that based on other people. And so, us, as a collective humanity, we know what we want. And on a unconscious level, can imagine the collective humanity working on an unconscious level, but it always is. People think that stuff that happens to us is random, but we control more of our destiny. We think other people control, but it's not. Individually we control our own destiny. But on a wider, bigger scale, the collective of humanity, we are moving in a certain direction. We are moving in a certain direction. And right now it's unconsciously, but I think it's becoming conscious because of what I see happening in this place that we live. And that's where poetry comes along. Because the poets, the good poets, the poets see what's coming first, because the poets always come first. Because that's what poetry is. It's seeing what is. And it's seeing what will be. And it's seeing what has come. And the poet puts that together in a piece that describes a moment, an expression, a feeling, a thought. Here is an example of the human collective working. You'll hear two different poems about the same subject, my room. The first I just wrote recently. The second I wrote years ago. Each poem gives a different thought, feeling, and experience at the moment it was written. If I'm still living in this room 5 years from now, the poem I write will be a different poem. Each person is a verse in the poem of life, in the eternal now, which is beyond time. We are. We continue to be a part of the poem of life on all levels. Description of my room. Plastic bins on top of plastic bins filled with clothes, paper, and stuff. On an old mattress, dresser in the corner of the room. More bins on top and canned goods on the shelves next to the dust-free dresser. Across the room, angel on top, is a dorm room fridge. Next to my printer scanner, on top of a bedside table. Next to that, in the opposite corner, is my 4-foot table, coffee pot on top, always clean and ready for the next cup. The next poem is entitled Prisoner. 9 by 12 cell. One window looks out upon the historic district, these beautiful city streets. I sit and stare, penning these words, surrounded by my stuff, generally organized. Old books and paper from failed businesses or businesses not started lay within only the imagination. Journals and paper, writing not published, unfulfilled dreams, but still these words come. Messages from the subconscious, from higher mind, who sees potential, but it's stuck in the past. The personality, stuck in mind's past, go through patterns of thought, need to make peace with choices of past, clear out the clutter, the emotion within mind, new state of being, the truth realized, the energy of a clear mind. I hope you enjoy this poetry lesson for this week. There will be more. At least I'll try and do more. And I'll also continue to talk about the human collective because I have a lot to say about that. Thank you for listening. On with the show.
Greetings, this is Mark Gunn with the Brobdingnagian Bards, and you're listening to The Right Stuff. Slancha.
These next three poems, they're from my book, Spellbook of Poetry. If you like to purchase Spellbook of Poetry, you can go over to Amazon, click on my name, Robert G. Parent, or you can go to the direct link at my website at robertgparent.blogspot.com, and you'll find that book there and many other books. Now, these three poems, I'm going to play them together because when I play them together, they create a certain picture. Now, when I wrote these poems individually. And they each have their own individual life. But when you put them together, they take on a new life, a new thought. Kind of like humanity. Each of us individually has our own story. But when you put us together, there's much things we can accomplish together. And that's also some things to think about with what's going on now in 2023. Divided we stand. Yeah, I got the saying screwed up. United we stand. Divided we fall. And people are uniting right now. And there are people who are trying to be against us, trying to separate us. But our true power is together. Because together, all things are possible. That is the power of the human collective. And also, when you listen to these three poems together, you can see how the consciousness, how we can awaken to the consciousness of the human collective. So, here it is. Look into darkness. Those who look see what others cannot. Exposes the plan, exposes the pain. To deny the dark is to be controlled by it. To face it, to slay it, is to be free of it. Symbol of the Jedi, confront the dark side. To stay in the light, affirm life's connection. Know the power of love, wield the saber of light, and light a candle in a dark space. Believing eyes. We see through these believing eyes. What we know, what we experience, what we do, is based on our belief. We think we are doing good, but find we aren't. We travel down these roads of our life lived, trying to find truth, but we settle for my truth and your truth, which is not truth, but perception. We move day to day, searching, learning, growing, until our eye opens, and then we understand. Faceless One. Who is this faceless one I see in the mirror, in his avatar of this place? She is a dancer who makes poetry with her feet. He is the writer who makes poetry with his pen. Who is this faceless one I see in the mirror, in her avatar of this place? She is an engineer who makes buildings, cities, and bridges. He's the interior designer who designs and organizes spaces. Who is this faceless one I see in the mirror, and the avatar of this place? One who is the politician, one who is the statesman, one who is the cook and the waitress. Who is this faceless one I see in the mirror, and the avatar of this place? I am who I decide to be. I am he, and I am she. I am you, and you are me.
Greetings, this is Mark Gunn with the Brobdingnagian Bards, and you're listening to The Right Stuff. Slancha.
Hey everybody, I hope you like those 3 poems. Sometimes it takes many listens or reads to understand what a poem is. And the poem, when we listen or read a poem, we kind of meditate on the author's words and trying to see what the author is trying to say. And hopefully we, as authors, do a good job at trying to get our points across. Now, sometimes we don't. That's why I added the little commentary that I did, just in case. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the poems. And again, if you still don't quite understand them, listen to the poems again. Meditate on these poems. And that's it for the show. If you are listening to the audio podcast, coming up will be a song from thefump.com. I love the Fump. They let podcasters play their music on their podcast. If you're listening to the video version of this podcast, you can go and you want to listen to the audio version and that song, you can actually go over to my website at robertg.blogspot.com. I also suggest, if you do like funny music, go over to thefump.com, because there's all sorts of music. There's music on the left, music on the right, there's geeky music, there's all sorts of music, all sorts of musical expressions. And also, when you sign up for an account there, it's free. You can actually comment on the songs and talk with the authors. So anyways, thank you for listening. Stay creative in the magic of life. Thank you.
Medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for.
If you like this piece, you can check out more of my writings over at robertg.blogspot.com. Or if you want to purchase some of my books, you can go to robertgparent.blogspot.com. There you'll find the links to my Amazon books. And as always, thank you for listening. Stay creative in the magic of life. Good day.